You're listening to Food Rebels, and welcome. This is the podcast that brings you brands, chefs, and live on-air tastings. A show that's dedicated to the more rebellious side of the food world, where we celebrate the people who have challenged the status quo. We'll be giving you a peek behind the curtains and inside the minds of the people who are shaking up our food industry. You know me, I'm the show host, AJ Sharp, taste expert, food writer, great taste food judge, and of course, business owner. I love meeting new people and tasting new foods. So, sit back as we hear more stories from people in food who dare to be different. Hello and Happy New Year again. I don't know about you guys, but I am completely wrapped up in hoodies and coats, and I've got the heater on here in the studio. It's freezing. The frost is sitting on the ground so thickly this morning. And I know lots of people up north have got snow as well. So wherever you are, I hope you are keeping warm. And before we meet our first guest on today, I just wanted to give you a shout out for our Instagram account. It is at food_rebels_. Please do get in touch. We absolutely love hearing from you guys. We've got some really exciting guests booked on for this year, including Heston Blumenthal. We've got Jay Rayner coming on. We've got some really great guests, as well as Susie and Eve coming back on as well. And I know you guys really like them. Do let us know. Do get in touch. And let's move over now. We're going to go and meet Ella and Sophie from Waffle brand Griddle.
Well, hello. Today on Food Rebels, we've got two fascinating guests who started a company called Griddle. So pleased to welcome Ella Harland and Sophie McGregor. Welcome, guys.
Hello. Hi. Thank you for having us.
So this is really exciting. So I didn't quite know whether to start with the company or start with your different roles, but let's start with the company. What is Griddle? Ella, can you start us off here?
Yeah, absolutely. So Griddle is a frozen bakery company with a real focus on making products the same way that we'd make them at home in our kitchens, using the same quality ingredients, no artificial colours, flavours, preservatives. We really take care in kind of how much sugar we put into the product as well, and always utilising whole grain flours wherever possible. So it's basically home-style bakery products done for you.
Amazing, because I've got these beautiful waffles that I've literally just popped out of my toaster. Protein waffles, they're called. I'm really excited about this. So I actually just want to dive into them because they smell absolutely incredible. I've got like chocolate coming off one and blueberry notes coming off another. And you just said to me they've got to be eaten hot. So as I am just digging into these, Sophie, can you tell me what your two different roles are in the company? Are you co-founders? How does it work?
Yeah, so we're both co-founders. We both set up the business like completely from scratch together. So there's no sort of one person came in later situation with both of ours from the onset. We manage sales together. I think like that's like the core kind of part of the business, and having like the founders representing that is definitely really kind of key and puts us with a good relationship with our buyers. And then we kind of split up the rest. So I manage more of like the operations side and the accounts, and then Ella manages more of like the brand and the marketing side. So I'm very creative, which is, pretty much how we split things up at the moment. We wear multiple hats, so I think there's always like room to change, and we collaborate on pretty much everything. And I think you have to when you're sort of still at these early stages, but that's kind of roughly the split at the moment.
That's great. Thank you, Sophie. Amazing. Thank you for describing that. I'm just going to dive in and talk about these because they're absolutely amazing. These are little frozen boxes. They've got 6 in a box, and you just pop them straight in the toaster. And I'd be lying if I said this is the first time I've tasted them, because the minute they arrived, my children had their beady eyes on them, and they were going, chocolate chip waffles, yes, please. So I did say, well, okay, fine. It's supposed to be a family product, so I'll put it and we could taste it. And there's actually only a few left now because they have been nailing them. They are just so, particularly this chocolate chip one, it is so gooey, and you get these little pools of chocolate in the waffle.
Yeah, that's why you need to have them hot.
Yeah, it's great because we find kids love them, but then also parents are happy because they know they're not feeding their children products with like loads and loads of sugar in, and there is actually some nutritional value. There's whole grain flours, there's a high protein range, so yeah, win-win.
Win-win. And they love them. And I haven't actually tried the blueberry one before today, but you get proper bursts of sweet sweet tasting, but real fruit flavors, and they're kind of really moist. And then you've got the kind of dry crunchiness of the actual waffle around it, which is just a really lovely kind of composition of all the different flavors going on. It's ace. What a cool idea. How did you come up with it?
So myself and Sophie, we actually started the business when we met through spare room. So we were living together in London by complete chance, and we became friends pretty quickly as we both got a big shared love of sport. So we're both into running, cycling, gym, all of those kind of things. And with that, we really value fueling ourselves correctly. So weekends we'd often kick up a batch of protein pancakes or protein waffles. But then we kind of looked to the supermarket and we were like, why can't we buy these kind of things? The kind of big bakery brands are still the same heritage brands like Warburton's and Kingsmill that we had since we were, kids. We grew up on those kind of products and Scotch pancakes and those kind of things. So we really felt like there was no bakery brand doing these kind of products for the modern consumer. So that's really where the idea started.
So actually, you made these because you wanted them to fit with your lifestyle. They weren't actually made with kids in mind. Even though as a mum, I immediately go, oh my God, my kids would love those. But I'm quite happily sitting here munching on it because I'm quite enjoying it myself.
Yeah, that's definitely kind of where we have fallen into, is that we've realised that there's another purpose for them and that parents love them because they're just so easy for their kids, and especially like younger kids where they're allowed to use the toaster but they're not allowed to use like the oven without kind of supervision. It just makes it such like an easy after school snack. And yeah, we love that we've like stumbled across this, solving this problem for them, as well as creating something for people who are really busy and active and want sort of like a healthier breakfast or kind of fuel around their workout.
And I think it's the hot that I like about them a lot. So there's a lot of snacks. We have a lot of snacks in the house. My 11-year-old, who is like very tall and very hungry all the time, he comes in and just clears the cheese drawer, clears the kind of bakery drawer. But often nothing quite hits the spot as much as something hot. I think when you're in that kind of, you've come in from school or you come in from work and you want that comfort moment, and it's the warmth, the heat and the kind of gooiness, I think is really enticing.
Yeah, absolutely. And also you're having them like by themselves, which is great, but also they're so versatile for toppings. You can pop on a fruit compote, or you can pop on yogurt, banana, peanut butter, whatever really takes your fancy. So yeah, they're a good base for a lot of other things as well.
So I love you telling this story that you actually met by chance through Spare Room, and which is like, it's like an online thing, isn't it, for finding places to live in big cities, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Did either of you have a background in baking?
I've had a background in food, so I trained as a private chef when I left school and kind of kept that running in the back. But I think like the way that we built this company was kind of just like trial and error in our kitchen, and then also working with the factories, because we had such like elaborate recipes and we started this in our kitchen, like using chia seeds, slowly whipping an egg white, mashing banana puree, and then you go to a factory and you have all these dreams and you realize that the capacity of what they're able to produce for you is not at that scale. And then also we want a product that's really affordable for customers. So it's always been like a fine tuning of what we want and like the recipes we made from our kitchen, but also what makes an economical but also a really good product through a kind of more sort of factory process, and to get to that price point as well. So I'd say the chefing background hasn't really actually added anything. It was maybe just a little bit helpful in knowing a little bit of the science, but it's very much been the work that we've done together and the trial and the error that kind of got us to where we have been.
Yeah, I think very self-taught as well. I mean, I'm a big foodie. I love cooking. I love going to restaurants. I love all of that. But I also love reading about what's the latest in nutrition and what the latest studies are saying. And everyone's got their own definition of health, and it's constantly evolving and changing. So really kind of keeping up to date with all the latest on that, I just find interesting. And that obviously can feed into the product development.
When did you launch? And like, how long have you been going? And what have been some of the biggest challenges you've found in this journey so far?
We actually launched originally with a chilled range of pancakes. And we launched them pretty small scale, but we launched into kind of Whole Foods and as nature intended when it existed. Yeah, very small scale. And I think that was great to kind of test the market, get feedback. But one of the things and I guess challenges we faced early on was the amount of food waste in traditional bakery, and that includes chilled bakery. And where we didn't want to compromise by putting preservatives into our food, we quickly realised that actually there's a really viable option here in frozen. So it was actually during COVID that we made the move and decided to switch into frozen. And that was also when we started developing the Waffle products, which launched into retail in January 22. So on one hand, it's been a couple of years, but on the other hand, it feels much longer. Yeah, but we've both been working full time on the business since January 22.
That's brilliant. It's absolutely fascinating, I find, watching the journey of different people. And it's almost like a lot of the time when you start with the problem of kind of, I need some really good, healthy food, a snack that's warm, I can do really instantly straight from the freezer, and you work backwards from the problem, you end up with a product that maybe wasn't exactly what you were meaning to create in the first place, or it's a sort of a different version of that. It's really clever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also like on from that is the direction of where we're now taking the company as well. You kind of started as one thing. We very much started as these are the pancakes and waffle products that we made at home. But now I suppose as we've actually kind of understood more around the frozen market and more around the amounts of wastage in traditional bakery, it's really opened our eyes up to actually there's a huge opportunity here in a much wider category of the wider bakery industry.
I think it's also like understanding what your consumer wants as well, in the sense of we started off with, we've got waffles now, but we want products that will fit so many different dietary options, different sort of eating occasions. And now that we have had the time and the opportunity to really talk to our customer, we can create a range of products that suit into their lifestyles and fit their needs.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to ask you about the kind of sustainability side of things, because I saw when I was looking on your website and having a look at your social media and stuff, you talk a lot about this huge hundreds of thousands of tons of wasted bakery products in the UK. And this being why you ended up going into frozen. I mean, you've just touched upon it a little bit in the answer to the previous question, but can you talk to me about frozen and where you see that going?
I think frozen as a sector, everyone's probably seen it's really growing at the moment. And the insights from, you've got ice cream coming up with different trends. So you've got like cookie dough bites and mochi bites and even like the Nestle doing frozen food things. And then you've got companies like Itsu and Wasabi all putting their kind of grocery into frozen as well. So there's a lot of different sectors that are all moving into frozen. And even within the shopping experience, retailers are now really trying to push a shop for your product rather than shop for a sector. So it's frozen is aligned with chilled, or frozen is aligned with ambient. So you can go into the store and like the items are next to each other. And evidently that's only in a few stores at the moment, but it just shows the way that frozen is progressing. And ultimately, I think the consumer is becoming slightly more educated on the benefits of frozen, knowing that you can buy products that haven't been pumped for preservatives to enhance their shelf life. They're fresher naturally because of the fact that they can be shipped straight away after being produced, and you get a better price point for a better quality. And I think gone are the days of just buying peas and chicken nuggets from the freezer.
I was just going to say on the sustainability part, so to add to that, bakery products are the second most wasted food category in the UK. And actually, yes, there's a lot of wastage on supermarket shelves. Like often you go to Tesco at 10 p.m. and you'll see the in-store bakery literally being thrown into black bin bags. But that's only a part of the problem. The actual bigger problem is consumers at home opening a packet, eating half of it, and then it going mouldy or stale in the bread bin. So yeah, I think the last stat I read on WRAP was around 900,000 tons of bakery waste in the UK, which is just crazy, I think. And whereas with frozen, like our waffles, you can just take out however many you're going to eat at that time, put them in the toaster, and that's it. And the rest are ready for, even if it's in a month's time, they're still perfect and good to go.
It was actually one of my grandma's trick was always to keep sliced bread in the freezer, and you just take out the slices that you need, because at her age, she was only eating maybe one slice a day and the whole loaf would go off. And a small loaf costs the same as a big loaf. So, of course, you buy a big loaf. And I remember being absolutely flabbergasted that you could even freeze bread. I didn't even know that it was something that you could do until she taught me about how to do that. So it makes sense. We're actually going back to this time of reducing waste and kind of making the best out of everything.
Yeah,
100%.
completely.
I think one thing that we've also strived with this product and the way we developed it was if you take a loaf or you take a packet of pita bread and you shove it in the freezer, you notice that all of them stick together, and then you've either got to like saw them apart or take the whole pack and defrost them. The way we make the waffles is that we flash freeze each individual waffle separately so they never stick together. So then you don't have to have that hassle of like almost cutting your thumb off trying to like break them apart in the freezer.
That's really cool. I've noticed that you guys, I always love to call out any companies that are B Corp because I love it and I love everything it stands for. Talk a lot about it. So congrats on that. Something that you guys have got, and we haven't met many brands that have this is the By Women Built stamp. Ella, can you tell me about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So By Women Built is an amazing movement of, I think there's around over 2,000 female-founded companies now as part of the movement. But the whole kind of premise of it is that not everyone can mentor a woman, not everyone can invest in a woman, but everyone can buy from a female-founded business. So that's kind of where it started. And I think there's some crazy stat, like 5% of 12 to 18-year-olds can name a female entrepreneur. And obviously, for a male, you can easily probably think of Stephen Bartlett or Alan Sugar or any of Elon Musk or any of them. But yeah, everyone was quite kind of shocked by how few children could name a female entrepreneur. And so again, the kind of idea around this movement is if you can see it, you can be it. So by highlighting these female-founded brands, and often they're founders of really big brands that we all use and know and buy regularly. So by drawing the attention to actually this is who that founder is, I think it really inspire the next generations who can, see that actually it was a woman who started their favorite, nail brand or whatever it was. I just said nail brand because there's the founders of Nails Inc. in it.
That's eight. Sophie, does this matter to you then, inspiring a generation of people of girls, particularly and females, to become entrepreneurs? Is that quite important to you guys as a company?
100%. I think even when we're like fundraising now, it's so hard to find good female investors to sort of be on our cap table and mentor us. And we really want to be part of that change so that the next wave and the next generation have good role models, have good accessibility to investors and mentors. And I think that's both something, or we already do it actively by kind of mentoring other people in sort of food and drink, but to continue doing that and help kind of encourage, I guess, more people and more girls and women to get involved and follow their sort of passion and be entrepreneurs and know that they have the support to do so. So yeah, it's definitely a really kind of cause close to our heart.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, what piece of advice would you pass on to somebody then, Ella, who wants to start a business, not necessarily a bakery business, but is looking to start a business? What one thing would you say? Is it just do it? Don't worry about having it all perfect and just start going?
Definitely start going. But I would say, and I always say this to Sophie, that I'm so happy we didn't leave our jobs and kind of just be starting the business as we were like without something to fall back on. I think it can take so much longer than you think. And I think not having some form of a paycheck coming in, which you're not going to get from your startup, by the way, for a fair time, I think that would just double the stress. So I think you'll be really surprised how far you can get by starting it and doing it on the side, because from day one, it's not going to be full-time demanding. So I think, yeah, kind of continue with your job, start it on the side, and then it'll really be clear when it gets to like the critical tipping point of actually, no, this is now looking like something that could be viable and I'm going to leave and do it full time now.
Yeah. Probably the point you've run out of annual leave days to go and meet buyers or something.
Exactly. I remember doing that. Oh, yeah.
That's amazing. And how much did you need a lot of capital then getting it going and getting it started?
There's definitely two school of thoughts on this. I think you can either raise a lot early on and try and like ramp up really quickly and go for it, or you can like test, learn and do it on a much kind of smaller scale and get a little bit of investment. We've only had a small amount of investment to date, and I think our journey has been slower than it could have been if we had a lot of investment. But off the back of that, we've really understood what the market is, what our product is, our proposition, our customer, and you can't skip that foundation building. So I think it depends on what industry you're going into and what I guess also what kind of capital you have access to early on. That's, I suppose, quite an individual sort of learning curve. But for us to sort of do it small first has definitely been the right approach. And like now is time for us to like really accelerate and really grow, and we're raising the capital to be able to do that.
Brilliant. So yeah, looking at the future, you've obviously got this beautiful range of waffles, which are now available in Asda, is that right?
Yeah, Asda, Ocado, Whole Foods, Dunnes Stores, Ireland. We've got some supermarkets in Belgium actually as well, because we manufacture in Belgium. So yeah, a bit of Europe. Where else, Sophie? Zap?
A bit of
Amazon
UAE. Amazon Fresh. Yeah.
We've got one going to say we've got one very exciting UK retailer coming in the first quarter of next year. We can't say who, but look out for it.
Amazing. And how much is it for a box? Looks like this, and you get 6 waffles inside. How much is that?
In Asda, you can buy a box for £2.75. Although I think when this comes out, they might be on deal at 2 for £4. So that would be nice.
Amazing. It's a good deal, isn't it? £2.75 for 6. I mean, that's less than 50p a waffle. That's amazing, isn't it? And you can either put them in the toaster, or you can put them in your air fryer, or presumably in your oven as well.
Yeah.
So is it just waffles? What's the plan for the future? Are you going to do a whole range of different bakery items, Sophie?
Yeah, we've got a whole pipeline of MPD. We want to be like a frozen bakery company. So we've got croissants, pancakes, we've got cinnamon rolls, all in the pipeline to come out over the next year or so. So really kind of diversifying beyond just the waffles.
Amazing. And was it easy for you to find a factory to make it who could do all these different things, or are you having to go to a number of different producers?
We're working with a number of different producers. So our waffles are all made with someone. Each individual product is made with a different producer.
Amazing. I saw on something I read that you're actually working with, you are like a carbon neutral bakery. Is that correct?
We are getting rid of that soon. I think there's been a lot in the news around carbon neutrality, and actually there's better ways to work like with that. So yeah,
fine, cool. So, but you don't sell through your website because it's really difficult to do that. And so you're kind of, how are you creating a really good relationship then with your customers? Because you're always going through a third party, aren't you? You're always going through Ocado or Asda or whoever you're selling through. How are you creating that kind of relationship with your customers, Ella?
So we do a lot on social media where we already have a good community of followers on there that we interact with a lot. But I think for us, one of the main kind of marketing activities we can do is sampling. So pop-up waffle bars at events with running clubs. In the summer, we did a waffle van at Love Trails Festival, which is a running and yoga festival in the Gower Peninsula, actually in Wales. And that was an amazing few days. We got to meet around 5,000 people at the festival. Got to meet a decent chunk of them. We were serving up fresh waffles, different toppings. So yeah, that's I guess one of the main things we do is try to get in front of as many people as we can and talk with them.
Yeah, fantastic. And I suppose as you go into different areas, you've got different products, you're going to go to slightly different people. It's going to be a slightly different offer. The waffles are very, like, for me, feels very family or very, I've just got back from the gym. Whereas croissants is actually could be more hosting based, or will it also be protein enriched?
So no, we're not planning to do the croissants as protein enriched. We just want them to be as close to a freshly made bakery one as possible, but just brought to your home. And yeah, I agree. It definitely could be a different kind of audience. And I think we're going more towards the family focused brunches, friends over the weekend brunches with those kinds of a product. But then some of the other ones we're developing at the moment, like the pancakes, again, they'll just be toast straight from frozen in 2 minutes. So that, again, is more of the individual play if you wanted it to be.
I think if you're a single person living by yourself, it's nice to have like access to really good tasting, fresh quality products and not have to buy a whole pack or like trek out in the rain to go to your local bakery. So the fact that it's frozen, I guess, appeals to so many different people, whether families or like just individuals living by themselves, because they can still have the really good products at their door.
Yeah, because you've been quite careful, haven't you, about the ingredients that go into your products. It's 40% less sugar, as you said earlier, and is it protein enriched? I mean, how have you managed to do that to get the level of protein up? Because they are protein waffles, aren't they? And I know you're not allowed to put that on the packaging unless it has got a certain amount of protein in it.
So we've got a high protein range, but that's only 2 of the SKUs. The rest aren't high protein. They're just a whole grain, and all of them are focused on less sugar. It's at least 40% less sugar. I think the fact that, you can take some waffles from McVitie's, for example, I think they've got 30 grams of sugar per 100 grams, which to me is just ludicrous. That shouldn't even be legal. I think then our original waffles have about 2.3 grams of sugar per waffle. So really substantially less. Obviously the ones with chocolate chip in do have a bit more, but still like not high in sugar by any means.
No. really, really not very high, and actually quite a good fibre content. Just looking at the back of this, which is quite good.
That's the other thing we focus on with the whole grain flours, is to make them all a source of fibre.
Yeah, that's excellent. And will you keep that ethos then with your subsequent ranges to, does a croissant even work if it's whole wheat flour?
Yeah, it does. But you just have to, it's a blend. So we have to work out what's the best proportion of wheat flour to whole wheat flour. But we're not going to start putting in emulsifiers or margarine or anything like that to cut costs. We want the best artisan kind of quality, but at the best kind of price that we can get that to consumers.
Oh, I think it's fantastic. I think I know certainly from my point of view, I'm shopping so much more in the frozen aisle, and so many more products in the frozen aisle are good, really good, and often locking in the nutrients for a lot longer because they've been frozen very quickly. They've been held in that form of stasis almost better than maybe some of the fresh stuff that's been sitting on the shelf for a few days. So it's a really exciting proposition. I mean, your croissants and things, will it be like the ones you can buy from Field Fare where they puff, you have to get them out the night before and they puff up and then you bake them?
No, so they'll all be baked straight from frozen, no proving. Again, we want to really make sure they are convenient. But, I mean, they really do puff up well and have a really nice flake on them. And all the layers when you open it. So, yeah, I've actually not tried the Field Fare ones, though. So maybe we should do that, Sophie, enough in our market research. But, yeah, you just made me think. Oh, sorry, I was just also going to say in terms of kind of the freshness of products as well. It's so funny to me that you think of ambient as fresh, and it's these products last on the shelf for 6 weeks or something. That shouldn't happen with a bakery product. And what have they had to put in them to make them say that same perfect orangey golden colour and nothing happen over time? So yeah, for us, that's where frozen really just wins.
Yeah,
100%.
You want your bread to start to go off after a certain period of time.
It should.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's almost a win when it does go stale. You're it's real bread.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I know. We all discovered it in lockdown, didn't we? When we all started making our own sourdough and stuff, and going, "Oh, okay, this is how it's supposed to be." This is amazing.
Oh, banana bread.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. And thank you so much to both of you. Sadly, we've just come to the end of the show now, but thank you so much, Ella Harland and Sophie McGregor from Griddle, for coming on the show. And to the listeners at home, get yourselves down to Asda or on Ocado and order some of these because they are awesome.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming in, guys.
Thank you so much for listening. You've been listening to Food Rebels, which is available on radio stations around the UK and further afield. You can also listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and Audible. Please remember to subscribe and rate us with 5 stars or follow us. It makes such a difference, not just to our podcast and radio show, but it really helps to support the guests that come on the show with us. We're also on Instagram at food_rebels. So give us a follow, do get in touch. We love hearing from you and let us know what you think. Thanks so much for joining us and make sure you taste the rebellion.